So, you know how conservatives are demons? We're all familiar with the demon-esque characteristics of conservatives, right?
Kansas has become the first state to pass a bill that defines woman as someone who is biologically born female. That's it. That's what a woman is.
Very normal, by the way, for state legislators to pass a bill defining the definition of a word. That's a very normal thing that normally happens, you know? That's definitely a thing. That's just a normal part of legal proceduralism. Happens all the time. Might be normal for the French.
Which means that this will ban men.
Oh, by the way, I would love to have a debate over that. Like, okay, at what line would an intersex person be considered female then? Like, what about a person with one of those, like, hormonal abnormalities where they have XY chromosomes, but they also have, like, androgen insensitivity, so they don't actually develop any male characteristics, and they're fully, like, female in every way, but it's like, oh, they have XY chromosomes, you know? Well, like, yeah, but of course they don't know, and they don't care, and it doesn't matter, because you can't epically own... You can't but actually, like, genocide away, you know? Like, you couldn't go up to the Nazis in 1934 and go like, are you aware of the fact that your definition conflates cultural, ethnic, and religious Judaism? And then do like a DreamWorks face at them, and they'd be like, oh my God, you're right. I don't have an internally consistent definition of Jewish people, as they're like shoveling Jewish people onto the train, you know? You can't, it doesn't actually work at that point. In the late 1800s, Indiana tried to legally make pi equal 3.2. I think they should have. The Indiana Pie Bill is the popular name for Bill 246 of the 1897 sitting of the Indiana General Assembly, one of the most notorious attempts to establish mathematical truth by legislative fiat. Despite its name, the main result claimed the bill's method to square a circle and pi various... I think we should have done this. Pi has too many numbers. It doesn't make any sense. I think we should just go with 3.2. That's fine. That's okay. It would destroy engineering and mathematics. It's fine. Just count on your hands.
Who identify as transgender women from using single-sex areas designated for women. It's called the Women's Bill of Rights. It was approved by legislators 26-10 on Thursday. Only Republican support there. And the bill defines a female as someone, quote, whose biological reproductive system is developed to produce ova, while male refers to anyone whose reproductive system, quote, is developed to fertilize the ova of a female.
So in that case, people with XY chromosomes who develop a fully female anatomy would be considered female under the definition of this bill. I'm pretty sure there are intersex people who have fully functional reproductive systems for both, aren't they? Aren't there a couple of rare cases of people who appear biologically male, but they have functioning uteruses? That's a thing, right? Persistent Mullerian duct syndrome is a disorder of sexual development that affects males. Males with this disorder have normal male reproductive organs, although they also have a uterus and fallopian tubes, which are female reproductive organs. I guess that might not necessarily mean they have eggs, because they wouldn't be able to shed the uterine line and because they wouldn't have a vagina. I'm pretty sure there are some people who are intersex who have... But no, wait. It can be fully functioning. Man shocked to discover he has a fully functioning womb. He could even get pregnant and give birth. Hey, trans women, are you jelly? Just total circumstance. This guy's not even trans, probably. I don't know. A little? That's all right. Womb transplants will probably be a thing soon. In fact, aren't womb transplants basically already a thing? Sorry, this is kind of tangential. I feel like yeah, they're already a reality. Kind of crazy. Uterus transplants are already a reality. What does it mean for trans women to get pregnant? Damn. Not on my budget. Well, being pregnant seems like it's a hassle anyway, but, you know, whatever people want, I guess. All right. Oh, wait. I am Mr. Man is completely correct. If their definition of male and female are both keyed in on biological reproductive viability, wouldn't that mean that some kinds of conditions that lead to infertility would nix you out of either category? Like, for example, there are categories of intersex where you don't have fully developed genitalia in either form, right? Like, so where would they fit? And then there are people who are just like regular infertile. What do you do then? Not even through injury, but just like genetically. No bathroom for you. You just have to like shit. They just leave a bucket out to like shit in. Okay, whatever. This is irrelevant. Let's get to the actual thing.
This is a beautiful bill because it doesn't just say don't trans the kids. It doesn't just say wait till 8 to introduce kids to transgenderism in schools. Once they turn 9, that's fine. It doesn't just say only minors can't. It bans transgenderism.
So One of the reasons I like this clip is because it's so overtly genocidal that it's not actually possible to interpret it in any other way. Bans transgenderism. Like banning a group of people, like a demographic of people. It's a euphemism that I refuse to participate in. Banning them is a soft euphemism for a variety of actions that you can actually take legally to eliminate a demographic of people. We're talking death, imprisonment, legal, like being written out of existence, second-class citizenship, ostracization, like whatever you want to go for here. Banning is the soft term. It's a very weak euphemism, but it's a euphemism nonetheless. Banning transgenderism. Anyway, look, the explanation he gives, because I've seen this clip, the explanation he gives after this, also, I like for its straightforwardness, because I've actually heard it mostly on forums like Stormfront. So listen, okay?
For all practical purposes in the state, for everybody. And it has to. In order for women to have the right to have their own bathrooms, you have to ban transgenderism entirely. You can't just ban it for the kids. It's got to be entirely. In order for women to be able to have their own locker rooms at the gym, you have to ban transgenderism entirely. In order to protect businesses from having to participate in weird occult sexual rituals like the transgender transition, you have to ban transgenderism entirely.
Okay, I was completely wrong. The clip that I was referring to is one that I quote tweeted. This actually has a slightly different bit of content to it, but that's okay. We'll add it on. We're getting a little bit of extra. It's like a nice little bonus. We'll keep our point here. This is the one that I saw the end to. So this one is 2 minutes 20. This one's 142. So we just go over to 142 in.
Like the transgender transition, you have to ban transgenderism entirely. I love this bill because it is so much more aggressive than the other bills we've seen. I don't mean to knock the other governors and the other state houses. They've done a great job laying the groundwork rather. But this bill goes...
So right off the bat, Michael Knowles is of the opinion that the unprecedented wave of legislation to attack trans people over the past 2 years is a light touch.
Much further, and it reminds us of a truth in politics that Republicans all too often forget. You're either on offense or you're on defense. You're either making gains in the culture or you're losing ground in the culture. There's no standing still. There's no status quo. There's no neutrality. And what the conservatives have screwed up on for at least 50 years now, probably more, is the libs make some crazy aggressive play, and then we try to dial it back by about 5 to 10%.
So that right there is Stormfront rhetoric. So a common thing that ultra far-right people will do is they'll complain about the fact that progressives have been making gains over time. He just said for the past 50 years, maybe more. Guys, go back a little bit farther than 50 years. What big progressive leap do you think he's referring to when he says conservatives have failed to effectively reclaim cultural territory? Think just a little bit if there's any movement pertaining to the rights of civil that might have gone back a little. Yeah, this is a really common, like, Nazi talking point right here. The idea being that, hey, you know, conservatism, what is it even conserving? We still have gay marriage and black people are still equal to white people, you know? That's a position often held by the ultra far right. Like, you know, okay, well, conservative Donald Trump isn't really based because he just wants to be conservative with regards to the last 10 years of culture war talking points, whereas they want him to be conservative with regards to the past century or more of culture war talking points. Culture war talking points. What I really mean here, of course, is like civil rights. So repeal gay marriage. Oh, cons already want to do that. This right here, as far as I'm concerned, is essentially a suggestion that they're more comfortable openly indicating their disdain for progressive progress that's been made further back than just the past couple of decades. Guys, why do you think more and more cons have been openly indicating they don't like Martin Luther King Jr.? Go back 10 years ago and attacking MLK Jr. as a conservative was a non-starter. Total non-starter, you know. Even if a lot of cons 10 years ago privately didn't like him, like publicly, or back during the Bush era, like the idea of openly attacking MLK Jr. would have been ridiculous. Like, why? Like, that's not a can of worms they would even go for. Some crazies went for it, but like, it's not a party establishment thing. Now, it's getting more and more common. We already know for a fact that they have every intention of attacking the legality of birth control because doing so would kind of forcibly wrest gender relations back a half century. Do you think it's a reaction to BLM? I just think that over time, cons have gotten more and more tired of losing, and what was once quiet behind the scenes curtain discourse on how privately they wish they could return to the good old days is now an openly fascist movement in favor of undoing. Are we kidding? No, not F? Not F. Oh my God, you guys are going to give me a heart attack. Don't do that after 1 second, okay? Jesus. Not an F. Ugh. Look, let's just finish the clip. You made my heart stutter, okay? Jeez.
Or worse, we try to slow it down by about 5 to 10%. So the libs attack the family through feminism, the fundamental political institution. They claim that men and women are basically the same. That takes the culture pretty far to the left, and then conservatives try to inch it back a little bit, but not by the time they're even thinking about inching it back, the libs push forward with the normalization of other sexual practices.
It's a
gay rights, among other things. And then, by the time the conservatives are trying to dial that back, the libs, they've lurched much further to the left. They're trying to redefine marriage now. They say redefine marriage. Well, I don't know. I guess we could come to some kind of terms with a civil union. And by the time you say that, whoop, they've lurched even further to the left. Now they're saying, actually, we've got transgenderism. Actually, now a man can become a woman. A man can become a woman. Okay, but maybe we shouldn't do it to my. By the time we say that, whoop, oh my gosh, we're all the way off the screen. Because now they're trying to trans the kids. And there are many conservatives now who are saying, look, if you're a man and you want to put on a dress, that's fine, but just don't do it to children. Just don't make me pay for it. No.
See? Right there at the end. He's literally saying, no, we cannot even allow men to put on dresses. It's the slippery slope argument, but the end position here, I mean, this is like an open advocacy for like a destruction of our constitutional rights. At the end, it's literally like, no, we will roll things back so far. I mean, you literally, like, you will be arrested if you wear a dress so much. Would anyone argue against the idea that this is overt advocacy for genocide? Could anyone argue against that? You will be arrested if you are a trans woman visibly? Like, is that, like, so if you are a trans woman, you will be arrested. Could anyone make an argument that like, this demographic of people, if we identify that you are, in fact, that demographic, you will be arrested? How is that any different from the exact shit the Nazis did with the armbands and the triangles, the gays and the transes and the degenerates and what have you? If we identify your existence as a member of this group, off to the camps with you. Oh, sure, they haven't literally built the death camps, but pardon me if I think it's appropriate to start terming things as genocide before they've literally started, like, mass shipping Zyklon B to all these facilities. I think it's appropriate to start using these terms like, oh, okay, you know, let's not be hyperbolic here, all right? Let's not go crazy with things, all right? Hitler hasn't literally shot himself in his bunker yet. We can't say it was a genocide. Ridiculous. You know, I always thought of Michael Knowles as a bit more of a soft conservative relative to some of the others. I wonder if he's been amping up his rhetoric now that Matt Walsh has made it clear that you can say basically anything with no consequences. You know, because they're both Daily Wire. So I wonder if Matt Walsh is kind of like paving the way here for permissible, overt fascism. You said in the past you think he's a crypto-fascist. Well, this isn't very crypto, is it? I'm not saying he wasn't a fascist before. I'm saying this rhetoric is a lot more like forthcoming. Trump straight up said he will make being trans illegal. I'm always saying this.
As part of our new...
Sorry, my add-on to auto-pause YouTube videos isn't working because of the Windows 11 update.
Credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of...
Why is it all about trans women, though? There are attacks against trans men, but trans women are the primary subjects of attack for a variety of reasons. For one, we don't really have a narrative about, like, women pretending to be men to be predators, whereas we do have a narrative about men pretending to be women to be predators. Also, trans women elicit a disgust in reactionaries in a way that trans men don't, in large part because reactionary politics is largely about chauvinism and control of women, and the idea of femininity being embraced and projected by people who the conservative establishment consider degenerates. That's considered like a greater threat to the status quo. I think there's a reason why conservatives typically think of trans men as either like butch lesbians or like victims of like even J.K. Rowling did this, where like trans women are predators, but trans men are just like victims of a society that makes them feel ashamed of being women or whatever. Yeah, our lost sisters. And it's a totally different vibe. And there's a lot into that. It's a very complicated subject, but overwhelmingly, trans women will always be the subjects of a lot more hate and disgust and disdain, and a lot more fetishization as well, by the way, than trans men will when it comes to like the conservative culture war bullshit.
Mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity with...
It's so dumb. Was Trump's anti-trans stuff always this bad, Vaush? No, of course not. Back during the 2016 primary, there was still an effort being made to like pretend at LGBT acceptance, but not anymore. I mean, I don't think he really cares about it. He's just going for whatever gets him the applause. I think we've seen this clip before, so whatever. He banned trans people from the military. Yeah, but I don't think that really compares to a lot of the stuff that's being said now. Guess this image is obsolete. Yeah, if Donald Trump did this again, this would be considered like a huge L for him. Like, if he did this again, it would actually put DeSantis ahead of him. Like, this would be like a victory for DeSantis, because at this point, the Republican Party is pretty well committed to like genocidal rhetoric when it comes to queer people. It's there's not none of this like, we're just after the crazy ones, but together. No, it's pretty straightforward. So. Still holding it upside down, which I think is really funny. I can't actually blame him for holding it upside down because the idiots wrote it upside down, They made fun of him for holding it upside down. The text is upside down. Like, they wrote it upside down. The red's on top. Like, it's not really on him there. Okay. Did he write it? No, he didn't write it.